Why people making $100,000 a year are broke. So look, as of late, with it being 2023, a ton of so-called people who make well over six figures or just start getting into making six figures have been going broke, right? So a lot of people want to know why. And I'm going to give you guys some prime scenarios as to why people who are making $100,000 are going broke, right? So just in general, with it being 2023, a lot of us understand that inflation's at an all-time high right now. Rates are high. A couple of the markets are kind of doing bad right now. Real estate is kind of correcting itself. It's kind of turned into a buyer's market. Stock market hasn't really bounced back from being down. But those things are neither here or there. And one of the main reasons why people who are making $100,000 are broke today is because what $100,000 is today is not what $100,000 is or was in the 90s. And of course, $100,000 then wasn't what it was in the 1930s, right? So you have to take that into accountability. You have to take inflation into accountability. Things are a lot more expensive than they were 20 or 30 years ago. So that's number one. Expenses are at an all-time high right now. Two, when it comes to people making $100,000 or making any type of money, on average, human nature, when humans make more money, they tend to increase their expenses. This is a known fact. So a lot of people, okay, they start making $100,000, so then they're like, okay, I'm making $100,000, so they start spending $100,000. A lot of people who make $100,000 are spending $100,000. Also, not to forget, going back to what I was saying about making $100,000 in 2023 is not making $100,000 in the 1990s. So here's what I'll say. So in the 1990s, making $100,000 and taking care of a family of four, well, way more well set and good to go. Fast forward to, that's almost 30-something years later, making $100,000 and taking care of not only you, your wife, and kids, after taxes, you really only, for the average person who has a 9-to-5 job, and you're making $100,000 a year. Let's do $100,000 a year even. After taxes, you're taking care of that family on around $67,000. Now, if you do the math, $67,000, divided by 12? That's around, my math. I'm a horrible math person. That's around five to almost $6,000 a month. It's around like $6,000 a month, right? Here's what I'll say. For one, expenses are at an all-time high. So we got that into account. With expenses being at an all-time high right now, what things used to cost 10 years ago, they don't cost that anymore. So if you put that on top of people naturally increasing their expenses when they start making $100,000, as well as people not knowing how to manage their money, people who are making $100,000, that's how they're able to go broke. And then also, what a lot of people are tending to do is, a lot of people who start making $100,000, now that they've kind of had a touch of what it feels to be in the six-figure category, then they feel they start listening. A lot of people are starting listening to people like Grant Cardone, a lot of these social media influencers, and they start taking on debt that has to be paid back, which is further putting them in a hole when they're already broke. So one of the main reasons why a lot of people who are making $100,000 are broke is because of debt. A lot of these people, a lot of doctors, a lot of lawyers, a lot of people who went to school for these extracurricular careers and are not making millions and millions of dollars, a lot of these people are still have hundreds of thousands in college tuition debt, with well over six figures in debt. So if you just not making six figures, and you're 6 figures in debt. On top of that, you're taking care of your wife and kids, and then after taxes, you're living off of 67,000. That's really no money. What $60,000 was 60 something $1,000 was today is not what 60 something $1,000 was 10 years ago. And that's my problem. And that's the problem. That's why people who are making $100,000 a year are going broke. You know, it's several different ways. The way I look at it is, you know, when people start making, you know, 6 figures, or when you start making more money in general, people have to learn how to figure out what they can live off of without having to increase their spending habits. So when you start making a certain amount of money, you still need to be saving a certain amount of money. You still need to be investing a certain amount of money and not taking on a whole bunch of debt. And that's the problem. If a lot of people who are making $100,000 can get past that, their lives will be so much easier. But it all starts with a mindset. Like, one of the things I stress on this channel is bettering your mindset by any means necessary. The only way you're going to do that is by, you know, learning financial literacy. So if you're making $100,000, preferably, you know, if you're single, you know, if you're single, you're making 6 figures, you're doing okay. You're doing pretty okay. But that's not the average person. But that's pretty much why my explanation as to why people who are making 6 figures are currently going broke. But the main reason is $100,000 is not what it used to be. And now on this channel, I don't really give financial advice. So FYI, this is all entertainment. But one thing that I will say is that when it comes to people who are making $100,000 and up, eventually inflation is going to get to a time in this country to where it's just going to be the rich and it's going to be the poor. People who are stuck in the middle class are going to be in the poor class. It's going to be two. It's going to be rich or you're going to be poor. So with that being said, you know, expenses are going to continue to go up. Inflation, you're not going to beat inflation, no way. The Fed raises the interest rates and the rates of things in order to slow down spending. So the more that the Feds raise the rates, the more expensive things are going to get in hopes to slow down spending. So people who are just not making 6 figures and, you know, you're going broke, you know, if you're going broke now, just give it a couple more years. You know, after a while, you know, people who are making $500,000 are going to be living check to check. But moral of the story is a lot of people have to be a little bit more responsible when it comes to managing their money. Also living on, you know, try living on, you know, $30,000 or $20,000 a year. You know, keeping your expenses low. The goal is, you know, if you're going to try to grow and continue to build wealth, you need to keep your expenses as low as possible, while increasing your investments and increasing your income. And if you do that, you'll be fine. But if you don't, you're going to be making 6 figures and you're going to be broke. But, you know, choice is yours. It all starts with a mindset. Now, one thing that I will say is that poor and that rich class, getting rid of the middle class is coming real, real soon. I definitely encourage everybody, you know, to be learning as many new skill sets as you can. That way you can always have the skill of making money regardless of what's going on in the world. But it is, you know, the reality of today. Hope you guys like this video. Definitely like, subscribe, and share. If you want to support me, click any of the links in the description below, from the Alexander brand to my real estate company to my digital products or whatever. Or, you know, if you guys want to hit up my Cash App, do that as well too. But I hope this video was helpful. Let me know how you guys like it in the comments. Peace.